What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Car Carrier TV and this little new series that I'm calling the Short Haul Series, where we're taking a deep dive into everything that consists of hauling short local runs and trying to make money doing so. So stay tuned, let's get into it, and let's see how we did this week. If you can't tell, it's still pretty windy. It seems to be this way every time I come to this yard recently. But this is the first day it's not pouring on me, so I'm kind of glad, because at this point my rain suit needs to go in the wash because it stinks. I've been wearing it literally all week. It hasn't had a second to dry out. But as you guys are probably wondering, how did we do this week? We did much better than we've done before. So we did end up surpassing our last week's goal of $5,500. So we are on track with making it over our $22,000 mark for the month. But we are on track for making it over the $2,200 mark for the month, but we didn't make it over the $7,000 like we were trying to make up for last week's, the lack of last week's hauling, which we only got to haul for 3 days, which hurt us, put us behind on the month. But either way, we're still going to figure out how to stay profitable here. So let's get into the loads that we hauled and then what we think we can do better for next week. So last week we were able to haul 5 loads, which was pretty good. That was what we were trying to do. We were trying to get a load a day in, and we got that accomplished. But the loads weren't the greatest because of the lack of work that we're having right now in the auto industry. So yeah, with everything that's going on, the industry right now as a whole is kind of in a tough spot. Either manufacturers aren't producing work, the used cars have already been bought up, so there's not a whole lot of them to go around. There's a little bit of the rental market to be had, but I would assume that's probably not going to be all that strong for too long. So right now, a lot of these loads that I'm pulling on the short run now, some of our longer guys are having a little bit better luck than I am, because I'm just trying to stay close to the house with my wife giving birth soon. That aspect, it's really kind of hindered me in the work that I'm hauling. So everything I'm hauling right now has been 3, 4, 5 to 7 stops each load. So we're trying to make it work, but until the work picks back up, I think it's going to be kind of tough for right now. But these are the 5 loads that we had, starting with same as before, cheapest to most expensive. All right, let's get out of the wind so we can discuss these loads that I had and I can look at them on my phone. The first load that we took was a load from down here in Winston-Salem up to Morristown, Tennessee. That was a nice load. It's probably the best one we had on the week, which is $1,480.16. That was a 10-car, 1-dropper load. That was pretty awesome. Load number 2 we had to grab was $981.72. That was a load of Nissans. It was all car rate, so nothing all that exciting. If I remember correctly, that one was a 4-stopper. That was a Morristown, Johnson City, Kingsport, and Bristol. Then I came back down here to grab their 3rd load on the week, which would have gotten us to Wednesday. And that was for $1,126.60. Again, that was another 4-stopper running East Tennessee. Then we ran back up to Nashville and loaded out of both the rail yard we have up there and Nissan. So I'll put that picture right here. That was one of the loads that I enjoyed the most, because it was different. It wasn't the normal type of load, but we picked up 3 F-150s, and that paid $440.63. That was 3 stops, so nice. And then we had to run over to Nissan, and we loaded all Muranos. Again, I think I had 2 cars to 1 dealership. All the rest were their own stops. I think that was a total of an 8-stop run. No, that was a total of a 7-stop run because it was an 8-car load altogether. And that one was $961.56. And then our final load of the week was coming back down here. We loaded up another 10-car load of Nissans, took them back to East Tennessee. That one was a Johnson City, Bluntville, Kingsport split, and that was for $1,126.60. So altogether we made $6,183.64. It's not the best, but a lot of it's because of all these stops that I'm having to do. If we could get these down to 1 or 2 stop loads, most of them, realistically, I think we would be better off, because I'd be able to probably get 1 extra load in a week, just because like the load that I finished out in Knoxville, I would have just turned back around and headed straight back up to Nissan and grabbed another load up there instead of running out to North Carolina. But the work isn't there to have, so it's just it's kind of dead right this second. And because of that, obviously these numbers are showing it a tad bit. But either way, I'm not completely disappointed with the money in it. I think it's still pretty good. We could be doing worse right now. There's a lot of people that are out of work, so I'm not complaining by any stretch of the imagination. I just know for me that I can do better, especially if we can get GM to start pushing out cars and we can get loads into North Carolina, which would pay a lot better, $1,800, $2,000 a load, or better, depending on where you go in North Carolina. I'm just thinking right over into this area that I'm loading these out of. But I mean, if we can get into those kind of loads, then I think this number is going to shoot up much higher than it is right now. So that's just kind of what we have going on right this second. Is the lack of work right now is kind of hurting these numbers. So you can't really judge this right now on what you could actually do running short haul. But either way, we're going to still get this number up. I'm going to go get this car on and we'll keep going here. All right, so as for next week, what can we do better? What can we try to concentrate on to make next week more profitable for us? I think the biggest thing I'm going to really try to work on for next week is I'm going to really work on trying to cut down deadhead miles in between loads. I'm going to concentrate on that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep a little sheet of all the miles between my last load and my next load and add those miles up, and we can kind of work on trying to get those down, because right now it's going to be kind of difficult to try to get the loads better. We have no control over having 4 or 5 stop loads. That's not something that it's not even something like our company, who we're working for, any of that is. A lot of that's just down to the manufacturers themselves. So that's not something that we can really control. So I won't say try to get better loads, even though, I mean, if they're available, we're gonna try to get them. But really, I think something we can try to control is trying to keep the deadhead miles down to a minimum. Like I said, try to keep a running tally of all the miles in between, all the empty miles that we run. If we can get those down as low as possible, obviously that's going to help out in the long run, because the more deadhead miles you run, the less money you make. All right, so adding up everything that we did this week and subtracting it from what we needed to make up for last week, we cut the amount down pretty good, but still not good enough. We missed our goal for this week by $1,097. Next week we gotta make up for that. So right now, because we have to make up for, again, what we missed on week number 1 and what we didn't make up for completely this week, we're gonna have to make up $6,597 for next week. That's our goal for next week, $6,597. So hopefully we can get as close as possible to that. We can knock that one out of the park and get ahead of the game. I don't know when my son's coming, but when he does, I'm not going to be running for a couple weeks. So hopefully I'm not going to be running for 2 weeks. I'm taking 2 weeks off to be home with my wife and my newborn. So we have some catching up to do. Let's get ahead of this game.